The Robert Taylor UFO incident, also known as the Dechmont Woods Encounter or the Livingston Incident, is one of the most intriguing and well-documented cases of an alleged UFO encounter. It occurred on November 9, 1979, near Livingston, West Lothian, Scotland, and involves forestry worker Robert Taylor. This sighting stands out because it was investigated by the police as a potential assault due to the physical evidence and injuries reported by Taylor. In this video, we will look at the life of Robert Taylor and his extraordinary UFO encounter. Then we will look at the theories put forth on what caused this strange encounter. Before his infamous UFO encounter, Robert Taylor led a life that could be described as typical for a man of his background and profession, which only adds to the credibility of his account. Robert Taylor was born in 1918 in Scotland. Like many men of his generation, Robert Taylor served in the military during World War II. He was a veteran of the Royal Engineers, a branch of the British Army that specializes in engineering, construction, and logistics support. His time in the military would have equipped him with skills in observation, problem-solving, and physical endurance. After the war, Taylor settled into civilian life and eventually took a job with the Livingston Development Corporation. This organization was responsible for the development and maintenance of Livingston, a new town in West Lothian, Scotland, established in the 1960s. Taylor worked as a forestry worker, a job that involved managing and maintaining the woodlands in the area. His duties included clearing paths, planting trees, and monitoring the health of the forest. Robert Taylor was a family man, married to his wife Mary. They had children and lived a modest life. Taylor was known in his community as a reliable and honest individual, traits that would later lend credibility to his UFO encounter. Those who knew Robert Taylor described him as a quiet, practical, and dependable man. He was not known to seek attention or indulge in fanciful stories, which made his account all the more compelling. Taylor's straightforward nature and lack of interest in the limelight suggest that he had little to gain from fabricating such an extraordinary story. Taylor was in good health for his age at the time of the incident, physically fit from his work in the forests. His job required him to be outdoors and active, which kept him in good shape and mentally alert. Robert Taylor's life before the UFO encounter was marked by stability, service, and community involvement. He was a respected member of his community with no history of making unusual claims or seeking public attention. This background makes his report of the incident particularly noteworthy, as it came from someone with a reputation for honesty and reliability. The incident occurred on the morning of November 9, 1979, in Dechmont Woods, a remote forested area near Livingston, West Lothian, Scotland. The site, which was a clearing in the woods, was part of Taylor's routine work area as a forestry worker for the Livingston Development Corporation. At around 10:30 a.m., Taylor parked his pickup truck at a familiar forest clearing and proceeded on foot with his dog. As he walked along a forest path, he was suddenly confronted by an extraordinary sight in a clearing ahead. Taylor saw a large, spherical object hovering just above the ground. The object was approximately 20 feet in diameter and had a dark metallic surface with a rough texture, which he described as resembling sandpaper. Taylor's account of the UFO provides a vivid description of an object unlike anything typically reported in other sightings. The sphere appeared to be hovering about 6 feet above the ground. Surrounding the main sphere were several smaller sphere objects. The smaller spheres, which later played a crucial role in the encounter, were about 3 feet in diameter and seemed to be mobile, detaching from the main object and moving independently. As Taylor approached the object, he observed 2 smaller spheres detach from the main sphere. These smaller objects had spikes or protrusions and moved towards him. They emitted a pungent odor, which Taylor compared to burning brakes and made a whooshing or sucking sound. As these spheres reached Taylor, they latched onto his trousers, pulling him towards the larger sphere. Taylor described feeling a force dragging him, causing him to lose consciousness. Taylor regained consciousness approximately 20 minutes later. He found himself lying on the ground, disoriented and injured, with his dog still by his side. The UFO and the smaller spheres were gone. He struggled to stand and eventually made his way back to his truck. Upon trying to start the vehicle, he discovered it would not start, prompting him to walk the mile back to his house. When Taylor arrived home, his wife Mary noticed his disheveled appearance and the damaged state of his clothing. His trousers were torn, and he had cuts and bruises on his legs and a graze on his chin. He was also in a state of shock and distress. Mary called a doctor, and Taylor was taken to the hospital, where medical examinations confirmed his injuries but could not determine their exact cause. Because this was classed as physical assault, the police had to get involved in the case. The investigation was led by Detective Ian Wark and other officers from the Livingston Police Department. The police treated the incident seriously from the outset, considering it a potential assault. The first step in the police investigation was a thorough examination of the site where Taylor reported the encounter. Detectives and forensic officers visited the clearing in Dechmont Woods, where they discovered several unusual features. They found a series of marks on the ground, spaced evenly, resembling the imprints of a ladder or a grid-like structure. There were also tracks consistent with something heavy being dragged across the ground, leading towards the spot where Taylor claimed the UFO was hovering. These physical traces corroborated Taylor's account of the incident and suggested an external force had been at play. Taylor's torn trousers were subjected to forensic analysis. The examination revealed that the trousers had rips that were consistent with being snagged or pulled by a mechanical or spiked object, aligning with Taylor's description of the smaller spheres with protrusions. There was no indication of substances or residues that could definitively explain the damage. Soil samples and impressions from the site were analyzed, but no foreign substances or anomalies were detected that could explain the markings. The police concluded that the impressions and drag marks were not consistent with any known machinery or equipment used in forestry work, adding to the mystery. Taylor was interviewed multiple times to ensure the consistency and reliability of his account. Throughout these interviews, Taylor remained consistent in his description of the encounter, showing no signs of fabrication or embellishment. His demeanor and distress were noted as genuine by the investigators. Mary Taylor corroborated her husband's account of his condition upon returning home. She described him as being in shock, with torn clothing and visible injuries. Her testimony added credibility to Taylor's narrative. One of the first explanations considered is that Taylor experienced a hallucination or a psychological episode. Hallucinations can be caused by various factors, including mental illness, stress, or substance use. However, several points challenge this theory. Taylor had no history of mental illness. He was known as a reliable and practical man, making a sudden psychological episode unlikely. Taylor's account remained consistent over multiple interviews, and his demeanor indicated genuine distress, not the confusion or erratic behavior often associated with hallucinations. Also, hallucinations cannot cause physical injuries or leave marks on the ground, which were documented in this case. Another psychological explanation involves temporal lobe epilepsy, a condition known to cause vivid and sometimes bizarre hallucinations. Temporal lobe epilepsy can also lead to periods of lost time and altered consciousness. However, there is no evidence that Taylor had a history of epilepsy or experienced symptoms before or after the incident, and again, temporal lobe epilepsy does not account for the physical injuries and ground marks. There was also no evidence that Taylor had consumed any substances that could induce hallucinations. His wife and colleagues did not report any unusual behavior prior to the incident. The investigation also did not find any environmental toxins or gases in the area that could have caused such an episode. Some natural weather phenomena explanations were put forth too. Ball lightning is a rare and poorly understood atmospheric phenomenon that manifests as a glowing, spherical object, often during thunderstorms. It can produce strange effects and is sometimes accompanied by a strong smell and physical sensations. While intriguing, this explanation has limitations. There were no reports of thunderstorms or specific weather conditions conducive to ball lightning in the area at the time of the incident. Ball lightning typically lasts only a few seconds and does not exhibit the complex behavior described by Taylor, such as the smaller spheres detaching and interacting with him. St. Elmo's fire is another atmospheric phenomenon where a blue or violet glow appears near the tips of pointed objects during thunderstorms. It is caused by ionization in the atmosphere, but shares similar limitations to the ball lightning theory. St. Elmo's fire does not create large, hovering spheres or smaller objects that interact physically with people. Again, the weather conditions did not match those required for St. Elmo's fire. Earthquake lights are luminous phenomena associated with seismic activity. They can appear as glowing orbs in the sky and have been documented near fault lines. There was no significant seismic activity in the Livingston area at the time of the incident, making this explanation unlikely. Some skeptics suggest that Taylor fabricated the story or that it was a hoax. This theory proposes that Taylor either staged the incident for attention or other motives. However, several factors argue against this. Taylor was known as an honest, reliable, and down-to-earth individual with no history of seeking attention or fabricating stories. The physical injuries and ground marks would have been challenging to fabricate convincingly. Witnesses, including Taylor's wife and the investigating officers, noted his genuine distress and shock, which would be difficult to fake convincingly. The most popular theory among UFO enthusiasts is that Taylor encountered an extraterrestrial craft. This theory argues that the details of his account, including the appearance and behavior of the objects, align with descriptions of UFOs and potential extraterrestrial technology. Key points supporting this theory include Taylor's description of the large sphere and the smaller spiked spheres is consistent with other UFO sightings. The injuries and ground marks suggest interaction with a physical object. The lack of a plausible conventional explanation leaves open the possibility of an extraterrestrial encounter. Another theory posits that Taylor may have encountered a secret military or experimental technology. This explanation considers the possibility of advanced, classified projects that might explain the unusual objects and effects. Scotland has several military bases, and it is conceivable that experimental aircraft or technology could be tested in remote areas. This theory has been challenged because no military organization has claimed responsibility, and there are no known projects that match Taylor's description, and it is unlikely that a military test would involve such close interaction with a civilian, leading to injuries and potential exposure. The Robert Taylor UFO case has had a significant impact on UFO research and public perception. It is frequently cited as one of the most credible and well-documented UFO encounters, often used as a benchmark for evaluating other cases. The involvement of law enforcement and the physical evidence distinguish it from many other sightings and reports. Despite the passage of more than 4 decades, the Robert Taylor UFO incident remains unresolved. The enduring mystery speaks to the limitations of our current understanding and the complexities of investigating extraordinary phenomena. It highlights the need for continued open-minded inquiry and the possibility that some aspects of our reality may still elude scientific explanation. The case also underscores the importance of credible witness testimony and the role of physical evidence in investigating unexplained phenomena. Taylor's reputation as an honest and reliable individual, combined with the tangible evidence left at the scene, challenges skeptics and encourages serious consideration of the incident. The Robert Taylor UFO encounter remains a profound and puzzling mystery. It challenges our understanding of reality and the limits of our knowledge. As we continue to explore and investigate such phenomena, the lessons and legacy of the Dechmont Woods incident remind us of the complexities and wonders that still await discovery. The case endures as a testament to the unknown and the enduring human quest for answers. Whether it was a rare natural phenomenon, a secret military experiment, or an encounter with something truly otherworldly, the Robert Taylor UFO incident continues to captivate and inspire, inviting us to look beyond the ordinary and consider the extraordinary possibilities of our world and beyond. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, please remember to like and subscribe.